It's Thursday evening. I've had a bit of a challenging day today. And so I'm not going to wait till dark time and later tonight because that's not really going to work for me. And I'm feeling a bit done to today and a bit exhausted. And so I don't know if any of you can relate, where sometimes the tension that's in the air and the stuff that's going on, especially for someone that suffers from generalized anxiety, right? So I don't always know what's going to trigger me or set me off, but sure enough, it finds me and I find it, and there we are struggling. It seems, and so today I'm just gonna allow myself to be okay to struggle. And to be in the thought pattern or the feeling that I'm in, and work to move myself to shift that, because ultimately staying there doesn't help me, doesn't help anybody else. And I don't know if any of you are happening to feel just exhausted. Pandemic stuff was exhausting. The tension that's in the air, the kind of new way that we're operating in the world, the unknown things that are going on, the tension in the air about the racial stuff that's going on, all legitimate, all absolutely necessary. I am not in disagreement with that. And today I spent too much time plugged in to social media, something that I've been actually really good at avoiding lately, or replacing that behavior, because I know how unhealthy it is for me to get tangled in the rhetoric, the visuals that happen there, and sometimes the fighting and the war that goes on between people about being wrong or right, and otherwise. And I know that it's hard on my mental health. It's hard on my psyche. It's hard on me emotionally and physically. And then I start to not want to treat myself very well. And so tonight, I found myself, really wanting to go and binge eat. I even thought about getting drunk, to be honest. And I'm not a drinker, so that was sort of out of left field. But it was like I just want to numb from the feelings that I'm feeling, from the self worth stuff that I'm coming up against, from the seemingly constant chaos that I seem to be engaging with in some of my relationships in my life, and not knowing how to explain myself in a way that actually feels received, and having other people in relationship to me feeling the opposite of that on the other side, and really struggling to find out what it is that I can do to better communicate, or to have how I'm feeling land, or and even, I don't know if this happens for you, but the intensity of when I'm triggered, unfortunately, like a dog on a bone, not being able to let go of and just let it be, and feeling like I need to defend, and that I'm being attacked, which leads never to anything good. And I see that happening on the internet. A lot of intolerance, and a lot of wars being fought in, I said this and you said that, and I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm going to point fingers at you, and the intensity that's going on in the world around me, and literally that stuff washes over me, and then I get consumed at my home life, where I really want it to look different, and I'd like it to be different than that. And some of the things that I've been creating in the last several months that have felt really good, all of a sudden everything goes off to the side, and it's all washed away in that one moment of, you know, crazy chaos that I'm feeling. And in the couple of people that I talked to today, and knowing, how some of the people in my life are experiencing their lives right now, the intensity of the frequency that's in the air. Again, necessary, absolutely necessary. But I have to acknowledge that it's affecting me. It's affecting me. And then to know a level of responsibility around that, when to unplug myself from being inundated from the information and being, in constant review of the visual stuff that's going on, and the intensity around these situations, and the opposite opinions that people are sharing. I try and make a lot of space for everybody to be okay. And I think that I've done a pretty good job of that my whole life, of making space for people. And really, sometimes I don't understand. Sometimes the stuff that's happening is so foreign, or the stuff that's being said or done is so foreign to my way of thinking or my way of doing something. But I consistently try really hard to make space for all of it. And instead of fighting about my opinion, which quite often is the thing that I find that is happening, and taking a stand for that, and then feeling exhausted because I feel like I'm pushing water uphill, and knowing that I don't actually need to justify myself to anyone, but feeling that feeling inside where I feel defensive. And I feel like that's the thing that I need to defend, is my honor at that point in time, my opinion. And that, sadly goes tied back to my dad yet again. My dad liked to make me wrong. And I often felt wrong in his presence, where I felt like it wasn't okay to have a differing opinion. It wasn't okay to have a feeling that was different than somebody else's. And that ultimately I paid really big prices for those things, because I'm determined, I'm independent, I'm powerful, I'm strong-willed, and I'm determined. And so when I latch onto something, and it's a value of mine, and I feel protective over it, and that I have a different point of view or a different circumstance of seeing something, and then that feels like it's being dismissed because it's not important, or because it's not seen as important or valued on the opposite side of where I'm trying to, land it. And ultimately, I'm reminded today that I am imperfect, that I am doing this thing called life imperfectly, and haphazardly, sometimes at best, and that ultimately, I know that I won't stay in this space. I know myself well enough to know and understand that I will do my best to work through whatever's going on, and move myself through the energy of it, move myself through the feelings of it, and move to a different place, a different level of understanding. But in the middle of it, when it's so intense and I don't know what to do with it, it just feels overwhelming, and I feel exhausted. I'm tired. And it's not just my body is physically tired. My emotion and soul is exhausted. And I unfortunately have run it out of juice. I've run it to the point where I'm now stealing from myself in order to be ready and able to give to others. And so I'm just reevaluating some stuff today. I'm really trying to take a little bit of a distanced look at the whole situation, so that I'm not just trying to be right about something. I'm trying to make room for everybody in the situation, and get everybody have what they need. I just quite often find that sometimes I'm the one that's being asked to give up my point of view, or to move from the stance that I have, or to be the one that sucks it up. I hear that quite often, just suck it up and move on. And the truth is, I don't always want to be that person. I don't want there to be an expectation that be my responsibility and my problem. And yet I'm seeking to have harmony, and there's discord. So there's something about that isn't outside of me. It's within me. And so I keep having the experience, because I need, obviously, to learn some things. And I need, or I have the opportunity to take a look at myself, the way that I do things, take a look at myself and what it is that I want in these situations, in the relationships that I have. And instead of trying to be right and righteous about it and stuck on a position about it, to move to a place of better understanding. And it's all I can do in a day, is to continue to develop my learning, understand that I know nothing about a lot of things, even though sometimes I feel like I know everything about a few things, and understanding that I'm doing this imperfectly and that that is okay, and give myself permission to be okay where I'm at today, knowing that I am dedicated to learning how to move through the stuff in order to shift my energy and create something different. Just a thought. This is what I'm thinking today, and these are my experiences today. And the truth is, when I take a deep breath and I actually land with myself, ultimately, what I want is love and harmony, peace. But I also want to feel like I am seen and heard and appreciated. And sometimes I don't feel that way. And so I'm going to take stock in that today, and I'm going to go and do some reflecting. I'm going to do some writing, maybe, because sometimes that helps me to get out of my head and into my heart and process something differently. And just allow myself to be where I'm at today. Give myself the grace to know that tomorrow will look different, because inevitably it always does. Even though it's similar, there are nuances within my days that are different. And that tomorrow I have a choice to put myself in front of social media as much as I did today and succumb to the effects of that, or be responsible to my mental health and limit the time that I spend there, because I don't believe in all or nothing is ever good for anything, but limit the time that I spend there so that I'm not completely affected by all of the stuff that goes on there. And I'm shifting that stuff to the things that I have been doing that have been working, like being in front of good content, and or just taking a break and not being on it at all, and not watching anything, and not cooking anything, and not cleaning anything, and not doing anything. Today I heard, in my card reading that I, sort of negated over the last week or so, and then went back today and went, but hang on a second, this was something that was really important to me. Why did I stop doing it? Because it was working. I don't know why we do those things. But instead of, being angry and resentful at myself, I just went and did it. And what I noticed was I learned something in that, and it did shift the energy a little bit. And I was able to take on the messages that were in there that I believed were for me today, to listen to today. And so when we breathe those things in and allow ourselves the grace just to be okay in the moment wherever we're at, and it's a struggle sometimes, man, I get it. If you're feeling self-worth stuff, if you're feeling like you're not enough, if you're feeling too much, if you're feeling not enough, all the things that we convince ourselves or have been told over our lives that somehow we aren't deserving, I'm here trying to smash those stigmas. And I'm here trying to talk about mental health because I think it's important. And I'm here trying to say that even though I have really good days, that there are some days when it doesn't look the same as that. And I could get on here and pretend that everything's wonderful and happy and convince you that everything's wonderful and happy, but I'd be a liar. And I would know that. And I've often been told in my leadership, well, don't show up like that. But you don't want people to see the rough and, those things. People don't want to see those things. And I say, I'm not going to fake it till I make it. That I'm going to show up exactly where I'm at. And I'm going to say the things that I need to say in that moment with the intention of just being seen and heard, respected and loved. And I think, honestly, that's what people want, is to feel like they matter. You matter to me, anyone who's watching. I really appreciate the fact that you would view this video, that you might take some insights from it, that you might give yourself permission to be exactly where you're at if you happen to be feeling similar. Or if you're feeling opposite to that, sending me some love and adoration, because I need your strength right now. We can help each other. We just have to be willing to look at the entire picture from a vantage point that isn't just our small little bubble and just our way of thinking about things. And it's a practice, just like everything else. Life is a journey and a practice, and there are opportunities for practice every single day. And so my greatest hope today is that you're kind and loving to yourself and others, that you give yourself the grace wherever you happen to be today, and that you really understand and let this land. You and I are enough. We're good enough. We deserve things. We're worthy. So much love out there. I really hope that you're feeling the love from my heart to yours. See you tomorrow.